Okay, I think we're all here. Welcome to the TOC meeting on March 25th. Let's start by reviewing our action items from last week. Action item, do we have a Chris Clark on? No, we don't. We'll copy that over. Beyhan, did you generate the RFC number for something?
Yes, the link, I think I pasted.
Okay, great. And how about creating a PR to unarchive? Oh yeah, you definitely did that, right? Did we merge it? It's merged.
Unfortunately, that didn't work.
No.
That's why we reverted the change and I did manually
Oh, okay.
an archive.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, so you're saying that it did work eventually?
It should be unarchived now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Over the automation didn't work. We needed to do it manually.
Okay. I just saw the failure, so I thought I'd come here and see what the next plan was. I'm glad. Thank you very much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up is Joseph talking about foundational infrastructure update. Take it away.
Hello. Here's a list of things that we've sort of been working on or are working on in the order in which I found them, not really in any sort of priority, although Noble's at the top because that was sort of been at the top of our head. I'm sure you've talked about the attempts to validate with CF deployment. It sounds like yesterday the last remaining metrics issue was fixed. So once that's past the pipelines, it seems like we can GA that. So
App metric
possibly
stuff
this week. Yeah. Something to do with Cgroups v2. Cgroups v2, the hidden fun of Noble, basically. Something we probably should have done a couple years ago, but is done now. CPI version. That's something that we don't talk about very often, but we're on version 2, which version 2 I think happened when we got rid of the registry in BOSH. If anybody remembers that crazy thing, which I still don't fully understand, but we might be revving it to version 3 and then shortly after their version 4. One of them is for tags. So a lot of people want to tag resources created by BOSH. One thing you can't tag currently are stem cells. When you upload a stem cell, like in AWS, like that image that's created there doesn't have any tags. But soon it will be, but that means changing the create stem cell API call, because otherwise CPIs that don't have a third argument would just kind of blow up, which is kind of not good. So the director has to do, if you're version 3 or higher, then do this. Otherwise, do the old way. And the same thing for IPv6, which I know you all have been talking about that RFC. I think that's going to require an additional bump in some of the calls for probably create VM or whatnot to know that they take additional properties. Recently, we merged in PR for the Azure CPI to support Azure. There's supposed to be another word in there. What are they? Image galleries? Image galleries. Image gallery support. So right now, we don't ship Linux lite stem cells for Azure, something everybody's kind of surprised about when you say it out loud. We have lite stem cells for GCP and AWS. This isn't technically fully about lite stem cells, but it's tangentially related. The reason we don't ship Linux stem cells for Azure is because in order to sort of make a public image on Azure previously, you had to go through the marketplace, which involved like this approval process, which takes like 12 to 24 hours. And then sometimes they just reject it for fun reasons. You sort of have a human on Microsoft's side, the gatekeeper, and we didn't want to we have to go through that pain for Windows stem cells because you can't ship heavy Windows stem cells, so they have to be light. But somebody made a PR into Azure to support the Azure image gallery, compute gallery, something, which is basically a different way of doing light stem cells on Azure, and they can be public. So now there's an option when uploading a stem cell, rather than putting it in a storage account in Azure, to put it in a compute gallery. But we may be able to also leverage this for light stem cells, which would mean we could, in theory, start shipping light Azure stem cells for Linux. Foundation would sort of need an Azure account to put stuff in. not sure how big of an issue it is, since, you know, most people are sort of surprised that we don't already. So it's not like people are like, where are lite stem cells? But it gives us an option, and it may allow us in the future to also change how we publish Windows stem cells. You'll note that there's a second half of this, which is Windows stem cell woes, which is Patch Tuesday was 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3, and we haven't shipped the Windows stem cell for this month because the first one got rejected because Microsoft was suddenly like, why do you have Windows Defender on here? And we were like, we've always had it, and it's optional. It's off by default. And they're like, it's not allowed anymore. And so we went back, and now we're dealing with pipeline issues with the Windows stem cell. But we could, in theory, switch that over to a public compute gallery, and then we wouldn't be sort of under the thumb of Microsoft for when we want to publish and what we want to put in it. So potential future stuff there, but not real active development on it. These compute gallery support is in there, but we haven't sort of defined what a light stem cell would look like, because we still have to sort of define that and have the CPA understand that. And then like, oh, this looks like a compute gallery image. I can just pull it from over there, sort of stuff. But potential future stuff. On the Azure track, everybody using Azure got some scary emails about them deprecating unmanaged disks come September or so. And the CPI supported a unmanaged to managed disk migration for a while, but it wasn't very good because it sort of depended upon the region that you're in, having the right number of availability sets or fault tolerance things or something. So we made some changes to the CPI so that it's more robust in doing that migration from unmanaged to managed disks, which should make people having to migrate off of unmanaged disks, which Microsoft is just getting rid of entirely, a lot easier for those people. Ruby performance issues, they've been refixed in a less embarrassing way. So under Jammy, we started compiling Ruby with Clang rather than GCC because we were seeing terrible performance with GCC. And in the move to Noble, we kind of didn't want Clang on there because it's not part of Canonical's universe packages, which means they don't necessarily guarantee CVEs for it will be applied. Clang's not actually on running VMs if you turn off the compiled bits, whatnot. But I think Matthew Coker did some look into this, and it turns out the GCC performance were 100% our fault. We were setting some C flags when we were compiling Ruby, and apparently when you set any C flag, then you have to set all the C flags, and there's like a make it fast C flag that we weren't setting. So getting rid of that made performance way better. So just don't set flags, especially since the flags we were setting made no sense, and they'd been there since the beginning of the release. We just deleted them, and everything was twice as fast. Huge success. Not really any faster than Clang was, but twice as fast as the bad performance we had initially under Jammy. And that allowed us to get rid of the Clang for the Noble GA so that we can sort of get rid of it there. If anybody needs it, we can add it back, but it's really hard to get rid of something once you sort of GA'd a stem cell. And the release property validation stuff hits. It has been merged into the Bosch director. Nobody's using it yet, but in theory, people could. There was a question on the already merged RFC last week or the week before. Somebody was like, oh, I just saw this, and there's a bunch of stuff I'd really like to do. And their stuff sounded impossible, but I did like 10 minutes of Googling about JSON schema. I was like, this does seem possible. So it's like, it's a very large language that you sort of have access to with JSON schema, and you can do a lot of stuff, but not all of it is, you know, simple things are simple and complicated things tend to be very complicated, it seems like. So that's sort of what you get when you're defining a validation language entirely within JSON, I guess. But it's there if people want to use it. We haven't yet started any work to put. So we would probably start doing it on some of our releases, except nearly all of our releases are deployed via Bosch CreateM. You know, CPI is in the Bosch directory itself, which Bosch CreateM goes to the CLI, and we haven't currently done anything there to support property validation. So that's sort of probably the next step that we would want to take to further this work. Then we can start putting it into the Bosch director and things, the actual validation schemas. And there's some refactoring going on the Bosch director. For those of you who don't know, and I was happy for you until now that you're learning this. But the BOSH director is a series of gems, not published gems, but internal gems. So inside of the BOSH director code base, there's like a BOSH director gem and a template gem and a utils gem. And they actually went during release packaging get like gemified, and then on a running VM, like your package folder is this like gem folder with a bunch of gems in it. Is weird. So there's some attempt to tease that apart and get rid of some of that. There's some refactoring going on to there's a what is it, Ruben? BOSH utils? BOSH utils, I think. BOSH utils is a common gem that's used actually outside of so some of the gems inside of BOSH are actually published outside of BOSH to Ruby gems. And so BOSH utils, we're trying to clean that up. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's just not used anymore because it was part of like the Ruby CLI used it or the Ruby BOSH agent used it, which, you know, we haven't used those in a very long time. So deleting some of that code, teasing apart some of that gem structure, isolating the code, probably going to pull that out into a separate repo at some point, and then get it out of the BOSH code base, and then try to slowly pull apart this gem structure so it's more of just a regular Ruby app going on in the BOSH director. But that's all I could remember. BOSH common. That's it, not utils. That's all I could think of in my making of a list, though.
Thank you. Any question for our BOSH expert? When are you gonna PR go router property validation changes?
That will definitely be the last one to get PR'd.
I didn't know that it was done. You should brag about that in a few more places so people know.
That is true. And while writing this list yesterday, I'm like, how do people use this? I'm like, I should do a docs PR. So we'll probably make a docs PR so that BOSH.io has some info on what it is and how you should use it.
Maybe an example.
Yeah.
Easy example case to look at. Yeah. That'd be great. Anything we can do for you?
I don't think so. I would say fix all the outstanding Noble issues, but sounds like already taken care of.
Good. Well, thank you so much. You're welcome to
Already
stay.
a release party planned for Noble?
Not that I know of.
You're welcome to stay or go. I'm going to move on to our community board. We have some PRs. Fix invalid YAML in template and improve. Oh, yes.
I noticed that the template is not working. I think this is fixing it, but
Ruben and Chris. There's one. I know it's the first PR. You have to get logged in and click on everything. There we go.
Yep, the stupid ass again. I was like, "Where's my phone?"
Uh-huh. Thank you, Beyhan. Adapt org management. Ooh.
It's a
Stephan.
bit bigger.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, it does all the, let's say, formal changes in this org management area according to the RFC. That means renaming of org to orgs, the folder rename. Then the Cloud Foundry YAML is renamed to orgs YAML. Yeah, the contributors YAML now supports multiple organizations, references updated. Still, the org automation supports only the Cloud Foundry org. It's just the structural changes. So as a first PR. Yep, since I'm here only this week and then I'm for 5 weeks off. Either we you approve it today, I merge it, I have to rebase it because the contributors YAML might have changed again, and this has to be copied over again because the structure changed internally. Then I could merge it and, let's say, get it to run. If there are some issues, if not, probably the best is let it rest for these 5 weeks and redo it then after my vacation. These are the 2 options.
I like the option 1.
Me too.
Okay. Good, then
Okay, we
just
got a verbal
approve.
confirmation from Beyhan.
Don't move, don't
Okay.
merge. I will
You'll
check
rebase
the
and merge.
exactly. I will rebase and merge then afterwards.
Great. Okay, I'll let you do that. RFCs, 0. No new RFCs. Or have we done them all?
Yeah.
This doesn't look
Everybody
done.
is waiting for the CF day to present the
Yes.
new one.
I'm okay with that. RFC status, is there anything anyone wants to talk about for RFC statuses?
We are on the last steps regarding file-based service binding information. There's a little bit of work with cuts to do, and documentation PR is needs to be merged.
Nice.
But it's there already, so looks good.
Also, we heard also Noble is on the last mile.
Mm-hmm.
It's close.
Wow. A lot of noble work. Okay. There's no new issues. We have nothing in any other business. Anything else? Oh, Ruben.
Yeah, I have a thing. I read a document by someone about Golang. It's a really good document, but it mentioned FIPS.
Yes.
So the new version of Golang supports FIPS. Do we want to do something with that?
Yeah. So the new version of Golang has a flag that you can turn on that will make Go kind of FIPS compliant. I'm saying kind of because it's still getting certified that it's FIPS compliant, but it has been submitted for certification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so that would require all the Golang components to start passing that flag, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time you build it, so it's like a per job thing. Is how
Is
we've
it the
turned on
build flag
flags.
or is it a build or a runtime flag?
Oh, good point. Maybe it is a runtime flag. I don't remember. It sounds like an RFC.
Yes.
I don't know. Only if people are interested. I just want to make people aware that
Yeah.
like that's a bit available. Makes it at least a lot more feasible, right?
I think it will be interesting to in that direction. Yeah.
I should probably mention another Golang thing because that's might apply to containerized workloads, but only on Windows. So it's a narrow gap. That's what's currently blocking our re-release of the Windows stemcell. Is that there seems to be in the latest Windows update, Windows has changed something to do with temp paths. So before in Golang, when you do get tempter, it would give you the default tempter, or well, it would first give you if you have environment variable TMP or TEMP set, and then your user profile, and then like some other default. And that still works in Windows unless we're in a concourse container, which might be similar to a Diego container. I'm not sure. But then it's giving us C:/system temp, C:/Windows/system temp. And there seems to be no way of overriding that, which is causing a problem for us because that's on the root disk rather than the ephemeral disk. So like all of our stem cell tests are making stuff there, and then the world is blowing up. So I don't know if that's going to be a problem with Windows apps running on the Windows stems or Golang apps running on the latest Windows stem cell when it hits, but that could be an upcoming issue.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I hadn't heard that.
I think we're blaming Microsoft and hoping that they fix it, or maybe it'll be a Golang fix where it's like, no. Oh, we really actually want to use the temp path environment variable if you have that set. But
Anything else you want to bring up? Okay. Good seeing you all. Happy Tuesday.